Have you ever felt pain in your lower back, but weren't quite sure if it might actually be coming from your hips or your pelvis instead? Maybe you've even tried treating one area, only to have the pain shift somewhere else. This is one of the most common frustrations I hear from people dealing with back, hip, or pelvic pain. So in this video, I'm going to help you to try to figure out what's going on. We'll go over some simple self-tests that can help you to pinpoint which area is the real problem for you, so that you can start to address the root cause. Hi, I'm Alexis Wadeland, osteopath and co-founder of Blossoming Me and Healthy Learning Lounge. Stick around if you'd like to work out exactly where your pain is coming from and what you can do about it. Before we jump into the self-tests, here's something that you need to know. Pain isn't always where the problem actually is. For example, you might feel the pain in your lower back, but the real issue could be coming from the tightness in your hips, the reduced movement in your hips, an unstable pelvis, or even your feet. Think of your body like a chair. If one of the parts of the chair is not able to hold your weight properly, or is holding on too tightly, then if you were to sit on that chair, the chair might bend, break, twist, sag, or torsion. So when only one part of your body isn't quite functioning optimally, then many, if not all, of the other parts need to compensate. This means that nerves might get irritated, causing pain, or overworked muscles may complain about the extra effort they have to use, or the weak area is too weak to cope with certain movements and tears a little or a lot when it gets used, even for its intended purpose. That's why focusing only on one area, the area where you feel the pain, can be a mistake. So how do you know which area is actually causing your pain? Let's go through a few simple tests to help find out. From my experience, there may be one issue that you can see from testing or imaging that is specifically damaged and causing pain. However, even when this is the case, especially if the pain did not occur from a single specific fall or trauma, then often the tissue causing the pain is the tissue that is overcompensating for the tissue that is not functioning as it should be. If we treat both the tissue that is in stress from the compensation and the tissue that is not working correctly, then we have a chance of improving your pain and avoiding it from coming back. Whereas if we only treat the one or the other, either the pain is likely to reoccur, or it could even feel like it's not improving at all. And then over time, things could deteriorate further. So, test number 1. Is your pain coming from your lower back? This is a simple test. All you need to do is bend forward and notice what happens to your pain, and bend backwards and notice what is happening to your pain. So if you bend forward, allowing your back to bend and reach towards your toes, does your pain increase? Does it stay the same? Or does it actually get better? If bending forwards increases your pain, then it might be from tight muscles in your back, a disc issue, or dysfunction in one of the vertebrae, one of the vertebral joints, or your sacroiliac joint. If bending forwards increases your pain and goes down your legs, then it's possible that the pain is from your sacroiliac joint, or nerve irritation from your lumbar spine, potentially from a disc. If leaning backwards increases your pain, it could be a reduced space between the lumbar vertebrae, a disc, or a nerve irritation. If bending backwards increases your pain, but you notice the pain is more in the front of your body, then it's more likely to be your hip flexors. If the pain is the same, forwards and backwards, then your back is not likely to be the primary cause of your issues. It can also be useful to note that if the pain is slightly off to one side, or if it's directly in the middle of your back, or if it travels up or down the spine or into the buttocks, or like a band across your lower back. If pain increases with either forward or backward bending, then your lower back will be at least in part involved in your pain. But this does not determine what tissues might be involved, only the likely location. A test for your sacroiliac joints. So with this one, we just want you to stand on one leg and hold for 10 to 15 seconds, if you can. If you feel a sharp pain or you feel like you're unstable and you can't stand on that leg, this would be a positive sign indicating that your sacroiliac joint is dysfunctional, especially if the pain is just a little to one side of center. Make sure you repeat to the other side. It's possible that your pelvis is not stabilizing on both sides, or it could be uneven and it's only not stabilizing itself on the one side. So if you can notice a difference and your instability is on one side, like you feel wobbly or weak, or there is pain when you lift your leg on the leg that you're standing on, this could indicate that your muscles are not engaging properly in your deep pelvic region. Now we're talking about your hip joints and commonly your hip flexor muscles. So for your hip flexors, if you lie down on your back with both your legs straight and then you pull one knee up towards your chest, you're aiming to let the other leg stay flat on the ground or bed. If your elongated extended leg lifts off, bending your knee slightly, or it feels tight or painful, then you'll likely have tight hip flexors, which will then pull on your pelvis and your lower back, causing pain. If this test doesn't trigger discomfort, then your hip flexors might not be the main problem. Tight hip flexors are extremely common, especially if you sit for long hours. And even if this is not the root cause of your pain, keeping them mobile can help to reduce pain overall and improve your general flexibility and mobility. Now, what if the issue is in your actual hip joint? And that's not to say that you need a hip replacement, just that your hip joint is not functioning properly. So if you go on all fours, so your hands and your knees are on the floor, and you just gently rock side to side, you're putting a small amount of compression into your hip joint, and you're moving your hips inwards and outwards in that movement. If that causes any pain or discomfort as you do that in that hip area, or if it increases the pain that you have been suffering, then you know that the hip joint itself is either your root cause or part of your problem. So now that you've done these self-tests, let's quickly break down what the results might mean. If you feel pain mainly during the forwards and or back bending test, then your lower back is likely the main cause of your issues. If you struggled with a single leg standing on one or other of your legs, then your pelvis might be unstable or your sacroiliac joint might be irritated. If your hip flexors felt tight and your knee lifted off the ground, then your hips might be pulling on your pelvis, leading to your pain. If you found multiple tests triggered pain, then this is a sign that there are multiple areas that are connected that need to be treated in your case. So your best approach then will be to make sure they all get addressed together. In the next video, we'll go even deeper, breaking down the exact symptoms that come from dysfunction in each area, so that you can start to understand how to be aware of which pain is which. So what did your self-test results show? Drop a comment below and let me know. Was your pain coming from your lower back, your pelvis, your hips? Maybe a few of them. And don't forget, this is just the beginning. In the next video, we'll go through key symptoms of dysfunction in each area so that you can recognize patterns and take the right steps to fix them.